seated behind me are a mixture of actually several different bands. There are members from all four of our different concert bands that we had this last year at Lake Orion High School, as well as we have some people that graduated last year, and we have another special guest who is joining us who is about a year and a half away from graduating college, former member of our band program. So we'll introduce a few of them later in a little bit more special way, but without any further ado, we're going to take a quick tuning note, and we're going to begin with a selection, a very familiar one to most people once you hear the main melody, called the Russian Sailor's Dance. So just give us a quick tuning note, and then we'll be off on our way. Russian Sailor's Dance is part of a larger ballet, which of course we all know this by heart, but it's actually one of the only recognizable things that most people will ever know by the great Russian composer Reinhold Glyer. It's taken from a ballet written about a Russian ship with all sorts of sailors on it, and in this one scene they're just dancing for each other, and it just gets wild and frenzied, and that melody has become so contagious. It appears in a lot of these kids when they get their beginning band books, and they have some familiar melodies. That one's actually what we would call maybe a concert, concert encore type selection. The next one's going to be very familiar to most of you. It's by Scott Joplin, one of the great, American musicians that, unfortunately for him, some of his more important information isn't known, but his music is, and that is the great ragtime that he came up with, and he was one of the great contributors to that type of music, which was really purely American, coming from the Deep South, from the Delta region, and it became a phenomenon for quite a few years. So this is one of the most famous ones. You probably also know things that he's done called the Maple Leaf Rag, but this is the one that probably most people is going to be the most familiar. It's called The Entertainer. Johannes Brahms is the answer to a trivia question. I probably say this every time we play anything by Brahms, but if anyone ever asks you who wrote Beethoven's 10th Symphony, there are two answers. The first one is actually Beethoven. He actually did write music to a 10th Symphony, but we'll never hear it because he never orchestrated it. But the rumors are there that he finished it. The second answer is Brahms, because for all of the years, for maybe about 40 or 50 years after Beethoven's death, any composer that came along to try and write a symphony was immediately compared to him. It was almost like any great, quarterback for a while can be compared to Tom Brady, or any great hockey player was compared to Wayne Gretzky for a while. And if you say you're going to write a symphony, that means you're saying you're as good as Beethoven. So, Schumann and Berlioz and several others came out, and so Brahms went to have his first symphony performed, and all the critics came out, and they were ready to just write it off and say, here's another, pretender and blah, blah, blah. And somebody said, surely we finally have a successor to Beethoven. So somebody jokingly said, this is Beethoven's 10th Symphony. So, trivia question. If that helps you out in Trivial Pursuit, you know the thing. This is one of his dances that he wrote for piano. There are several of these Hungarian dances, quite a few of them, in fact. The fifth one is the one you're going to recognize the most. And we played this one a few times in the past. Concert band performed this a month and a half ago. We did our performance here. It was a really fun selection to listen to. So this is Brahms' Hungarian Dance number 5. The last time we performed out here, we did an encore with the wind ensemble. You remember it? Feels really good to think about sleigh ride right now, doesn't it? Okay. If you remember a couple of years ago, the marching band did a marching band show called Eternal Winter. We did it down in Toledo, and it was about 10,000 degrees, right guys? It was very, 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 very warm. We actually had some judges say, ooh, the icebergs you have out on the field actually make us feel a little cooler. The reason I'm bringing this up is our next selection is one of the many excellent tunes, really fun tunes that you probably don't know by the guy that wrote Sleigh Ride. Leroy Anderson is going to be known for many, many, many as a composer, but most frequently his music's going to be performed, it's going to be Sleigh Ride. And this is a selection that when I was looking at the number of students that signed up, by the way, every one of these students volunteered to do this. And one of the things that I say when we have our band banquet at the end of the year is that these, I talk about the seniors, and I say that these guys put up with me for 4 years. These guys not only put up with me for 4 years, and some of them all the way through the summer, but some of them came back as soon as their vacation started to have 3 more rehearsals. And that's all we've had is 3 rehearsals on this stuff. And actually, this is the first time, right now is the first time everyone's together on the same stage at the same time. But for them to volunteer to do this is really special. I love this concert. I love being able to come out here. The story is very simple. We did a thing called Grim and Wild here about maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. I can't remember which, but it was a Halloween-themed thing that we had for younger children. And I had never seen this venue before. And some of this stuff wasn't here when we first saw it, but I walked over that hill, and I saw this beautiful stage, and I said to whatever band booster was near me, or whatever band parent was near me, and I said, we are doing a summer concert there every year that I'm band director, if I have anything to do with it. And of course, last year I really didn't have anything to do with that, but we're going to do it every year as long as we possibly can, and thank goodness the rain seems to be holding off, knock on wood. But when I looked at the number of students that had signed up and what instruments they signed up for, I saw this exceptionally large number of very talented flute players. And so I started thinking, I don't really have a lot that features a lot of flutes. And so I started looking through the library, and I discovered something that I had honestly maybe heard once or twice in my life before, and that's the Penny Whistle Song by Leroy Anderson. So it's just a fun tune, features our flute section, and hopefully you'll enjoy it, and hopefully you'll maybe look into a little bit more of Leroy Anderson's catalog, because there's some really fun stuff in there. There's some funny stuff that's meant to just be kind of ha-ha, but it's also seriously musical. And this is another one. It's not necessarily funny, it's just fun to listen to, and these flute players are just nailing it. So hopefully you'll enjoy Leroy Anderson's The Penny Whistle Song. There we go. A couple more selections before we're going to take a brief intermission. Just these kids have played a lot. We had a 3-hour rehearsal yesterday. We had a 2-hour rehearsal today, then set up, and in these conditions, just taking a little bit of a break. I do want to mention a couple things. I want to thank, if you look at the program, if you didn't get a program, if you did, please turn over and look at all the names on there that are very important to thank. They include the school board members, they include the township board members for obviously providing us this with awesome space, the school board, the administration for allowing us to have such a fantastic program, making sure that we have the things that we need, and of course are able to continue teaching with such an excellent music staff that I get to work with on a regular basis. But also the band boosters, and the band boosters are actually everyone that wants to help out. I think we oftentimes, too often, refer to the band boosters as that exceedingly hardworking member, or few number of people that we actually should call the band booster executive board. The president, the vice president, and the treasurers, and the communicating secretaries and recording secretaries. Extremely important people in allowing me and Mr. Crimmins and Ms. Jarris and Mr. Cooper to have to get the things that the school district, even though they give us everything they can, we just can't provide that great program really needs. So we are asking, and I'm sure you saw people as you came in, the donations, if you were able to give something, thank you so much. If not, we understand. We invited you to come to a concert, not to have to pay to do it, but what we're asking for is, food that we feed the students with. We gave them some, we were able to buy some subs after the rehearsal for today. And then some of this music, a lot of this music is not stuff that I would purchase with my school budget because it doesn't fit the inside the school concert type of music, if you will. And it's more set for a venue like this. And so anything that is left over after we pay those bills that I mentioned that allow us to do this concert, I can use to help buy some new, fresh, and interesting music that would be, stuff that like I said, I wouldn't normally be buying to perform with the students in a concert in the auditorium at the high school. So, but please, if you know the people on there, please thank them for everything that you enjoyed about tonight. And because without every name on there, there's no way we could do this. The next selection is actually one written by a guy that is known more as much as anything for his music publishing company amongst band directors, but he's also a very good arranger of music. Larry Dane has had a great company that's provided some fantastic music for bands over the last 20, 30 years out of Wisconsin. And he wrote this selection as a tribute to James Dean, who, and as the phrase "as summer was just beginning," James Dean was someone who was taken from us way too young in his life. So this is just a beautiful tune. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. We've tinkered with playing it before at this performance, and it just never worked its way onto the program, and so that ends now. So this is Larry Dane's "As Summer Was Just Beginning," tribute to James Dean. Okay, so our next selection is our last one. We're going to, before we take a short break. Actually, if you don't mind, I hate to do this, I hate to look at my phone. It's been an hour since, or 45 minutes or so since I looked at the radar. And anyone that knows me well enough knows that I literally have 27 apps. Oh my gosh, it looks great. Okay, it looks good. There's a little bit of, it's like a little, crazy painting, but most of those crazy colors are not coming toward us, so fingers crossed that they won't just pop up and all of a sudden turn green, orange, blue, pink. Okay, those are ugly colors when it comes to a radar. So our last selection before we take a short break is one that's meant to salute anyone out here who has served, is currently serving, or a family member of someone who is serving, has served in one of the, at the time this was written, 5 branches of the military. So you will hear the main service hymns of Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, and the Marines, not in that order. And what we like to do is, if we have anyone out here who has served in any of those, when you hear your service hymn played, please stand. The trombones will be holding up signs just in case any of you are not familiar with this, with the service branch that's being honored at that point in time. If you feel like it, I would certainly love to do it, but we're saluting these people by performing their great service hymns. If you would like to, please give them a round of applause while we're performing. We're perfectly well acquainted with that, and we'd love to hear you salute those people as they deserve to be. So without any further ado, this is Bob Loden's excellent arrangement of Armed Forces Salute. So we're going to probably move a little quicker in between selections as we move forward. I just want to make sure that that cloud doesn't mean business. So the next selection to begin this is music from the movie The Incredibles. Some old, 50s, 60s spy music kind of vibe going on here. It's just a really fun piece. I heard the U.S. Army Field Band do this several years ago down at Greenfield Village. And we're just like, wow, that's fantastic. Got to find an arrangement. So I stole it and borrowed it from Miss Klein, who directs the North Oakland Concert Band, who were here last Tuesday. An excellent community band. If you're out there and you've graduated and you still want to play your instrument, look her up. They practice. Normally they would be practicing every Thursday in the band room at the high school, but she still does a great job and still loves that ensemble. They're great. So borrowed this, and we've played it now a couple times at this, so hopefully you'll enjoy music from The Incredibles. One of the great composers of film music passed away last year. Ennio Morricone is a name that if you don't know this man by name, you should know some of his music. Some of the most beautiful and powerful movie scores that I can think of. If you've never heard the music to the movie The Mission, oh my goodness, find a tune called Gabriel's Oboe, and if it doesn't melt your heart, you might not have one. But there are several other selections that have become really famous, but some of them are what were called the spaghetti westerns. He wrote the music for them. And one of the most famous of those is going to be in the spaghetti westerns were so called because they were filmed in Italy. And if you watch, you got great American actors like Clint Eastwood speaking Italian as they do it. And the original release title for The Good, the Bad, the Ugly was Il Biono, I'm sorry, I'm not going to say it because I don't remember it, but it was the Italian. So they're speaking in Italian. But Ennio Morricone wrote the music to The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and this is one of the tunes that we're going to recognize the most from this. And actually, as a lover of his music, I kept looking for anything that was arranged by him that was available, and it was just never available. And finally I saw this, and I just jumped on the chance to get it. We've done it this performance before, and this is called The Ecstasy of Gold. If you are familiar with the movie, this is near the end when Tuco is running around trying to find the grave that isn't the right grave. If you don't know the movie, I apologize. I'm not going to give it all away, but if you do, this is that music. And it does stop abruptly because it's literally taken directly from the movie. And if you remember that scene, he finds what he's looking for and he just stops, and so does the music. So just don't be surprised when it stops. There's nothing after that when we do. At least not in this tune. go. Thank you. So I've been watching my phone, sorry being a band director, but I have to in this case, and I'm getting some notifications that we might need to pull a selection off of our program, and that would be the next one. We talked about it with the kids, and so we're gonna move forward past Africa, and after this next tune, I've got some introductions that I feel are really important to make. But earlier we featured the flutes, and then I looked at the program and thought, my gosh, we got this really fantastic trombone section, most juniors, seniors, and a few that just graduated. So we thought we'd feature them with a great Henry Fillmore tune called "LOHS Trombone." It features the trombone. It's one of several selections that he did that features what the trombone can do that no other instrument can do, and that's the slide. So you'll hear that. You'll hear that. This is a fun tune. It's very similar in style. It's almost like a ragtime, but it's what we call a slow drag. So this is Henry Fillmore's "LOHS Trombone."
Should we go check and see?
Sorry to do this, but we are going to have to make this next selection our last one. And so before we do that, this is important to me. We obviously, you guys, we talked about this. It's been all over the news. Talked about. But you know, the seniors up on the stage, I really appreciate them being here. But in my eyes, in front of a larger audience, they still deserve so much recognition for what they did this year, for what they put up with for this year, putting up with, you know, not going to marching band camp and the competitions, and everything, and then putting up with us having to be at those crazy distances that we had to be to make sure everyone was safe, and not being there every day with their friends, and just everything was different, yet they stuck with it, and they stayed here, and finally we were able to be here every day, but we were still spread out. We finally got a chance to perform, and it was kind of rushed, and we were wearing the bell covers, etc., wearing the masks, and now we got to the point where we really are free of that. But I just want to recognize them. So could I ask all of our 2021 graduating seniors to stand and get a huge round of applause for everything you've put up with and done for this band program? We have another group that need similar recognition because they didn't get a senior concert. They didn't get a senior banquet. I had to drive to their houses to drop off their senior plaques to them because unannounced last March, everything was ended for them. I mean, all the school stuff, all the winter percussion and all this stuff just stopped. And so we do have several members of the 2020 graduating class. So could I ask all you guys who are part of the 2020 class to stand? And we need to offer you guys a huge round of applause. Could you guys all stand up? So this next selection, Pavane, written by Gabriel Fauré, very famous French composer, but not necessarily for things that you would hear on a concert stage very often. But this is a very beautiful, very haunting melody, and one that the students at first I think questioned, and then when we were talking about if it starts to rain, I got to shorten the concert. What do you want? What do you want me to pull off the program? With the exception of the percussion, everyone wanted to keep this one. Unfortunately, percussion, and I'm one of them, doesn't get to play a lot in this selection. But this is just a really beautiful, very beautiful melody that we're going to play throughout. It's called Pavane, and so thank you very much. We will love to do this concert for you again next year sometime. Hopefully we won't have any worry about any sort of weather. And then after this, can't wait to see you guys again. So thank you so much for being here. Thanks so much for listening to these guys. They've done everything you've heard so far today and more. We worked on actually some more music and just started choosing what we were actually going to be able to fit on the program. And they did it in 3 rehearsals, so this is phenomenal. Most of the band concerts, they would play 3 pieces, and this is, 9, 10, 11, 12 we've already done. So my hat's off to them and their hard work and their excellent musicianship. So I'm just lucky to get to work with them. So this is Gabriel Fauré's Pavane.
Wow, Michael, not even the North Oakland band got a standing ovation. Do you think you guys could do one more? You guys want to hear one more? Show them some love. Michael, it's up to you.
Not gonna do sleigh ride. So that was a setup. Thank you for bringing us back for this encore, but we're going to go on to the next selection on the program, which is the last one, the Battle Hymn of the Republic, which is, it needs no introduction. There's some really powerful words. This is a great arrangement by Peter Wilhowski that can be done with a choir, without a choir, and hopefully it'll stay dry enough for us to finish our final one. Thank you so much. This has really been an enjoyable evening. A little humid. We'd love it to be a little cooler, so if you've got the button for the AC that cools this place down, you were a little selfish on that, so maybe we can get that going for next time. But it really has worked out well, and thank these kids for doing this. All of you guys, thank you so much for putting up with me a little more, and you guys really have been phenomenal, so thank God. Without any further ado, the Battle Hymn of the Republic.